Chapter 3121 begins with a moment of relief for Tinsley as she observes Elora tasting the snack prepared by the chef without spitting it out. Given Elora's notorious pickiness when it comes to food, Tinsley was initially worried that the chef's chances would be ruined if her cousin rejected the food outright. As Elora continues to sample more of the delicate snacks, she acknowledges that they are palatable, though she finds them slightly dry. Tinsley seizes this moment to provide Elora with a glass of warm water, further highlighting her eagerness to impress Elora with the new chef's abilities. Tinsley, in her usual chatty manner, begins sharing details about the chef, whom she describes as young but highly experienced. According to the chef, he started learning to cook at a very young age, around 6 or 7, under the strict supervision of his grandmother. His early exposure to cooking was motivated by a need for independence, and over time, he developed a deep passion for the culinary arts. Tinsley praises the chef's background, noting that he has spent over a decade honing his craft and learning from a variety of chefs. This revelation piques Elora's interest, and she begins to understand why the snacks were well received by her. The chef's years of study have clearly paid off, allowing him to create dishes that, while not perfect, are good enough to satisfy even someone with as refined a palate as Elora's. Given that Elora has a long meeting scheduled later, she finds the snacks to be a welcome source of sustenance, helping to calm her hunger and prevent any embarrassing stomach growling during the meeting. The conversation then shifts to the chef's background and family. Elora speculates whether he comes from a family of chefs, but Tinsley clarifies that a chef didn't mention having a family culinary legacy. Instead, it was his grandmother who encouraged him to become self sufficient and take cooking seriously from a young age. The chef's grandmother, being highly critical of the food, pushed him to continually improve his skills, resulting in the impressive ability he has now. Tinsley confidently predicts that a chef has the potential to become one of the greatest in the world if he continues on his current path. Elora, who is in her mid 20s, is surprised when Tinsley reveals that the chef is around the same age as her. She has expected someone younger, but this revelation heightens her curiosity about the chef's character and background. Tinsley further emphasizes the chef's qualities, describing him as not only skilled, but also incredibly handsome, with a natural nobility about him. Tinsley's admiration of the chef is clear, and she repeatedly mentions how impressed she is by his demeanor, which she describes as graceful and refined, despite his plain clothing. Elora, ever the pragmatist, teases Tinsley about her glowing review of the chef, implying that her cousin might be smitten with him. Her skepticism comes through when she questions Tinsley's description of the chef having natural nobility. She points out that true nobility and refined behavior are cultivated through rigorous education and social exposure, something she and her family have experienced firsthand. From a young age, Elora and Tinsley were trained in etiquette, attended banquets, and mingled with people from high society, allowing them to develop their noble temperament. She is doubtful that someone applying for a chef position, no matter how skilled, would have been raised in the same privileged environment as the Ormond family. Therefore, she believes that Tinsley is viewing the chef through an overly favorable lens due to her first impression of him. However, Tinsley remains steadfast in her admiration for the chef. She doesn't argue with Elora's assessment, but suggests that Elora should meet the chef in person before passing judgment. She believes that once Elora has a chance to interact with him and taste more of his cooking, she will recognize the chef's true worth and understand why Tinsley is so impressed. The chapter ends with Tinsley confidently asserting that the chef's talents and demeanor are genuine and that he could become a valuable asset to the Ormond household.